Let's bring in California GOP Congressman Devin Nunes, ranking member of the House Intel Committee, member of the House Ways and Means Committee as well. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Where are we right now? I mean, is Nancy Pelosi playing an above-board game here, and where are we in getting a deal?
Well, thank you for having me on. And what I would say is that if any Republican leader, if Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or any of our speakers in the past would have done something like Pelosi did, where she's sitting at home in front of a refrigerator with a $24,000 freezer that I don't think too many of us have, except maybe for Griff. I think he may have one.
He might.
But here's the deal: it would be a fatal flaw. I mean, we would boot McConnell or McCarthy out of leadership just like that. They would have been out 4 days ago the minute that popped up. When you have, people, 20 million people unemployed, you have people that can't get paychecks. You just had on the last segment, they can't even mow their damn lawn in Michigan. Mm-hmm. What the hell is going on? And, she's sitting in San Francisco, eating gourmet ice cream. It doesn't fly out in the real world.
Congressman, full disclosure, my fridge is so tiny, my daughters complain we can barely get 1 pint of ice cream in there. But let me ask you, because Pelosi put out a letter last night, about the talks are ongoing and she's feeling confident about progress being made. Can you take us inside what you're hearing about talks and how close we are to actually seeing movement this week?
Well, we had a conference call yesterday. We have another one scheduled for tonight. I know that the Republican leader McCarthy is on his way back to Washington right now, and we're going to have another conference call. So the idea is that you would plus up the money for the Paycheck Protection so that we can keep people employed, and also give money for hospitals. That seems like a logical, great plan, has huge bipartisan support. I think it's one the American people would understand.
Do you have confidence that'll get done this week?
Well, I would think so. It's like I said at the beginning, when you have a leader that makes such a fatal flaw. What would be a fatal flaw for a Republican? For a Democrat, The media is covering it up because Fox and a few others are the only ones covering that. But if you had Mitch McConnell with a bunch of gourmet ice cream, he'd be thrown out of leadership immediately.
You're totally right. Double standard is glaring. By the way, can you prevent any Kennedy Center type funding, as we saw in the last one, where they slipped in money for their friends? I mean, or are they going to try to do that again?
Well, we can't. The only way you can prevent it is by not giving them the votes. OK, but at the end of the day, you have to judge, is it OK to not be paying people that can't mow their lawn in Michigan versus $25 million for whatever the hell the Democrats want to use for the Kennedy Center, which I said last week on your show still has not been turned into a COVID response center last time I checked.
Very true.
Congressman, let me take you to a different topic for just a moment. Pete's been egging me on. I've really been pressing hard on China. The president warned China could be facing consequences yesterday. And of course, you've got former Vice President Biden weighing in as well. Let me just give you a little bit of what the president said about Chinese consequences and get your reaction. Here's the president.
Well, if they were knowingly responsible, certainly. If it was a mistake is a mistake. But if they were knowingly responsible, then there should be consequences. You're talking about, potentially lives like nobody's seen since 1917. I think you have numerous countries waiting to see whether or not Sleepy Joe wins, because if Sleepy Joe won, they own our country. For years, I've heard, by 2019, China will catch us. There's only one problem. Trump got elected in 2016.
Congressman, your reaction.
So the House Republicans have been running an investigation into China on the Intelligence Committee for many, many years. We were the first to identify that we had a 5G problem, that Huawei and ZTE, Chinese companies, were looking to own all of the networks all over the globe. So we've been on this for a while. And remember, we were dealing with the Russia hoax in the last Congress. At the same time, the House Republicans were trying to run an investigation into China. And the Democrats, finally, we had a public hearing on this, and they hijacked the hearing to try to subpoena whatever Russian of the week they were looking after. And so, this has been a challenge for us to get China on the forefront. I think now both Republicans and Democrats realize this. And I'll just to finish that. The issue with this virus in China, the unusual part from the beginning of this is just how contagious this virus has been. And what we need to know is did they do something to this virus to speed it up?
Yeah.
And I think that's the real question that we need
deserve
to have
to know
answered
that.
by the Chinese.
For sure.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned investigations. I got to get your take. Newly unclassified footnotes show that the FBI knew that documents used for FISA warrants were bogus. Explain this.
So what the American people are seeing is everything's coming into clear view. What the Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee have been looking at for a while, the documents that have been declassified. There's been a lot of documents declassified in the last week. I'd sum it up like this, and this is really important for folks that follow this Russia hoax closely. If you look at, there's essentially three what I would call phony documents, also called dossiers. You have the Steele Clinton Fusion GPS dossier that the FBI was involved in. There's a bunch of questions there Durham's looking at. You have the intelligence community assessment that was done by the Obama administration in the waning days of 2016 before Obama left office and Donald Trump came in. Remember, that was the document that said, oh, yeah, the Russians were trying to help Trump. Well, now we know there's lots of lies and omissions, which I would say not only misled Congress, but misled the American people. The third dossier, I would say, is what people call the Mueller report. The Mueller report, I call the Mueller dossier, okay, because it's also filled with both lies and omissions. And remember, you have people that have been prosecuted over this, that have already spent time in jail over this. Why when Mueller and his team, this great team of experts at DOJ and FBI, they brought all these people in? Where the hell's all that information now that you guys are all now seeing for the first time here in the last week? Why did we not know about George Papadopoulos being offered this money, okay, from Russians? Who were those Russians? And so moving forward, you have the three dossiers that have to be investigated. I'm also interested in three Russians that are actually Russian Americans that we're looking into. And then I would say finally, in 2016, we know from great work that Trey Gowdy did at the time in questioning that the CIA gave information over to the FBI in 2016. We now are laser focused on that. We need to know exactly what did the CIA give to the FBI in 2016. That's what our investigation is now focusing on.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, if we get that, Congressman, I doubt they're going to open that in the House since Democrats are in control, but maybe Senator Lindsey Graham, who now runs the Judiciary Committee, will take a deeper look.
Yeah, you've been on the case from the beginning. Thanks for staying on it, Congressman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Griff, your mullet's looking good, man. You're starting to get a mullet.
Thank you.
It's
Looks
good.
great.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Congressman.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.